Well, hello there. You know who it is. Amy McRotty, your premier real estateologist. I am here today to bring you a video about the pros and cons of plantation and plantation acres in Broward County, Florida. I'm bringing you a pros and cons video because you guys tell me that's what you like. I guess you like to hear my opinion and other people's opinion as to what's good and what's bad about certain areas. So I'm going to bring you first the pros of Plantation, Florida. The first thing is that, this little thing behind me, it's an aerial of Plantation, Florida, looking that way behind me, downtown Fort Lauderdale. So it's close enough to downtown Fort Lauderdale and the ocean for you to see it way in the distance there. But it's only like a 25-minute drive or so. So let's start with the negative. Let's start negative this time. I'm usually a real optimistic kind of a person, but today I'm starting with the negative because I just mentioned that you're not near the beach. So that's con number one. You are not near the beach. But you're only 25 minutes away, so it's not that big a deal. The other con to Plantation is that some of the infrastructure is a little bit older. So if you buy an older house as opposed to anything built post 1970s, if you buy stuff built in the 80s, 90s through today, you should be fine with the cast iron plumbing. But anything before the 70s, you got to do your inspections, check for that cast iron plumbing. It's kind of a big deal these days in Florida. You know, that cast iron, it just rots away over time, I suppose. Happened in my house. I had to replace it with PVC. My house was built in 1961, and the toilet kept backing up or going into the shower, going up into the shower every time I flushed the toilet. So when that kind of thing starts happening, it's probably indicative of a blockage or a break in the cast iron plumbing. So when you buy a house that's older than the 70s or in the 70s, I would recommend that you spend the extra money to have the cast iron inspected to see what the condition is. Now, that's not going to get you out of the deal, but it's going to tell you what to expect. And you usually have a due diligence period in your contracts here, and if you do your scope, and you find out that there might be some issue with the cast iron plumbing, you can talk to the seller about maybe giving you a credit. But the seller has the right to say no, because most of our contracts down here are as is with the right to inspect. So you can ask for a credit, but if there's nothing wrong with the cast iron right now, you're just asking for a credit because it's old, the seller can say no. You could ask for a credit because I'm old, but you're still gonna watch the movie, and I don't have anything to credit you. Ha. Anyway, so the older infrastructure, watch out for that. In some areas, old is relative too, right? This is Florida. Like 1920s is like the oldest houses we have down here, compared to New England and the West Coast with the 1800s and stuff. It's not old. Let's see, the other negative, or the con, number 3 about Plantation, is very limited nightlife and entertainment because it's really a family-oriented area. So apparently the businesses that cater to clubs that open up till 4 or 6 in the morning just don't make it in Plantation, because a lot of people in Plantation are getting up and going to work, raising kids, all the things. So it's a pretty limited nightlife, but again, you're super close to Fort Lauderdale, so it's kind of nice. You can have a nice, quiet, suburban vibe going on, living in Plantation, and just take an Uber 25 minutes to downtown Fort Lauderdale, party till 4. 4 is the latest that the bars are open. And then the final thing is the con that was in the news, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 5 years ago or something, was the name controversy. There was actually an initiative brought up to change the name because Plantation evokes images of slavery, and it got brought to the commission and the citizens, And they voted to retain the name because it really had no relation to slavery. It had relation to the agricultural area that it was. That's how it got its name. There were a lot of plantations out there, and there was like a subdivision name that's still there when you see the legal descriptions. Let me see if I can find that. Something like Plantation, Sugarland or something. I'll find it later in the notes and let you know. So those are the cons. We started off negative Nelly. Now let's get positive. Here are the positive things about Plantation. It's green space, beautiful green space. You see behind me all the greenery? There are a lot of developments there too. Some of them have homeowner associations, but quite a few don't. So you have these beautiful neighborhoods that are platted. It was definitely a platted out and a designed community post-World War II when the suburban sprawl started to happen. But they planned it out really nicely with a lot of greenery and a lot of mature foliage. I mean, you have beautiful tree-lined streets. So it's very pretty. And the houses are very pretty too. And you have a lot of styles of housing. That's the pro number 2. So number 1 is green space and mature foliage. Number 2 is a variety of home styles. So you have the concrete block homes, post-World War II, strong as could be. You have Mediterranean style, you have custom homes, you have the new sugar cube mansions. It runs the gamut. So there were a lot of custom built homes because there were larger families that moved out here, and the land was less expensive than in the urban corridor. Maybe back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, construction costs were cheaper. So they built some big homes out here, and they're fabulous. And the lots are a little bit bigger than the lots in downtown Fort Lauderdale as well. And the third good thing, pro, about Plantation is that there are great school systems, great schools out in Plantation. It's all part of the Broward County school system, but it's known for good schools, public and private. And it's known to be a family-focused community. So if that's your jam and that's your life phase right now, Plantation is perfect. So if you're looking to purchase in a family-focused area with beautiful green space, close to highways, close to the airport, close to the seaport for cruises, and close to Fort Lauderdale and Miami, then hit me up. I'll show you around Plantation, because this video is only going to scratch the surface. But there are some wonderful deals and opportunities in Plantation. And the fourth pro about Plantation is that it's in a central location in Broward County without the Fort Lauderdale price tag. So more bang for your buck. So those are the cons and the pros. We did it backwards this time of Plantation, Florida. Now let's look at the map so you can get a visual. Now let's look at a Google map so you can get a visual on the location of Plantation in relation to the ocean, city of Fort Lauderdale, etc. So let me share my screen. So as you can see on the screen, this red outlined bit of land is Plantation. So we're getting close to the Everglades. As you can see, here's the swamp. And let me zoom out. And there's the ocean. So we are located between our beautiful ocean and our beautiful swamp. Really, it's a river of grass. Just to let you know. So there's Fort Lauderdale. Zoom out more, and there it is. There's Plantation right over there. So it's south of Pompano Beach, north of Pembroke Pines, in South Florida, just to give you an idea of where Plantation is. And this 595 is a fabulous interstate highway that is super easy to get on from anywhere in Plantation. It's only your rush hour times that your traffic is tough. Most of the time it's a nice straight shot, and then you have this highway here that goes up to the north end of the county, which is easy and very little traffic. Then you have the Sawgrass Mills if you like shopping or if you're in the retail industry. It's a huge mall. Sawgrass Mills is technically in the city limits of Sunrise, but it's super close. IKEA's over there, lots of shopping, lots of restaurants all around, lots of strip malls all around. So you don't have to go into Fort Lauderdale if you need to shop or anything. The only reason to go into Fort Lauderdale is to party, go to museums, go to the beach, things like that. Have a staycation. Now, if you see here, get out of this. Now, if you see here, this is the Plantation area here. This little strip here, me over here. I don't know where my thing is. Anyway, I don't know where the marking thing is, but if you follow my cursor, pretty much from here through here, I'm going to zoom in. There's American Heritage, very highly rated private school. If you see all this platted out property here, these may look small from above, but these are huge properties. I point this part of Plantation out because it is Plantation Acres. Plantation Acres. It's a rural community adjacent to Plantation proper, so it's been absorbed into Plantation Acre. Was just an unincorporated Broward County in the past. Now it's been absorbed into Plantation for the utilities, emergency services, and things like that. But it's amazing out there. I'm gonna have a little walk around video, a different one for you on Plantation Acres, but I love Plantation Acres. Everything is like from a ½ acre to 5 acres. Again, it runs the gamut of home styles, but the cool thing about it is it's a rural equestrian designated and permissible area of the county. There are not too many left, and actually equestrian properties trade for either almost or the same as, and even sometimes more than oceanfront property and waterfront property. It's the old supply and demand, right? If the demand is high and the supply is low, which it is here, Plantation Acres is fabulous for that. I love going out there. It just feels like you're in the country, and you can have horses and chickens and cows and goats and all the things, and nobody's going to bother you. You can set up a barn, you can have a workshop, you can have a creative space, lots of room to spread out and do your thing and raise your animals, and no neighbors right next door to complain about it. So it's a very high-end area, by the way, as well. Properties are huge, the houses are huge, and the prices run, maybe if you're lucky you'll get one in the 800s, but the average price is $1 million to $1.5 million, and they'll go as high as $20 million in Plantation Acres. So if rural equestrian communities your jam, this is one of the best and one of the few. There's the Redlands down in Miami-Dade, there's Wellington in Palm Beach County, and there's Plantation Acres in Broward County. You might be able to get away with this rural feel and raising animals in Southwest Ranches as well, which is further south. But let's stick with Plantation Acres. So Plantation Acres, we have your affluent home buyers here, your horse lovers, your remote workers, a lot of other people that like Plantation Acres, even if you aren't into horses and all that stuff. If you work remotely and you want a big nice piece of land, Plantation Acres is fabulous for that. And there's no homeowner associations in Plantation Acres. Just live out there in the country, baby. It's beautiful. I'm going to add a little bonus here to the pros and cons video and give you a little history of Plantation that I did a little research on. You know I love research, so I'm sharing it with you. This strip of land in the early part of the century, actually pre-20th century, before development, this property was occupied by the Tequesta and Seminole Indian tribes. And it remained largely undeveloped until the early 20th century. And the development that happened then was really cow pastures. So that was all that was going on then. And then we come into the 1940s, post-World War II. We used to have a Air Force base down here and a naval base in Fort Lauderdale during World War II. So a lot of the service people that came down here to do their thing, they stayed when the war was over because they loved the city, the Fort Lauderdale, the vibe, the weather, everything. So in the 40s, post-World War II, the name Plantation came from the Everglades Plantation Company, which was a company that attempted to drain and farm the land. So that was actually pre-1940s. The Everglades Plantation Company, that's what it was named after. That's what I couldn't remember earlier in the video, and you'll see that those words used in the legal descriptions on the properties, was that the Everglades Plantation Company owned pretty much all of Plantation. And that company was trying to drain the Everglades, but it's a river. You can't drain it. There's no draining the swamp going on here, people. It's a river. It's tidal, and it's all interconnected. So all of the damage that we did back in the day because we didn't know any better, we're starting to bring it back. And anyway, these efforts to drain the Everglades were failures because it's a river. It's not truly a swamp that you can empty out. So the river just kept coming back in, the rains kept coming back in, so there was flooding and marshy terrain, but the name stuck like buck. So that's the post-1940s and a little bit before how it got its name. Now, Plantation was formally established in 1953. It was officially incorporated, and there were less than 500 residents at that time. Now, post-World War II, as South Florida boomed, the developers targeted the area for suburban housing because of its proximity to Fort Lauderdale and new roadway expansions. So that's what happened in the 50s and really how it started taking off. And then in the 50s through the 70s, there was a lot of planned suburban growth. That's when all the little plats were done and the houses were built, and just like you see behind me, it was a huge endeavor back in the 50s all the way through the 70s. And these developments are to this day quite pretty and they were well thought out. They had a master planned suburban community, and the leader in that, the biggest developer in that, was Gulfstream Land and Development Company. You'll see their name in a lot of the legal descriptions as well. And in their master plan, they emphasized the tree-lined streets, the parks, the green space, and a nice residential quality of life. And the city actually was nicknamed the city where the grass is greener. So that's why it still holds up and looks good. Now, in the 70s to the 90s, the growth surged out there. So now you had a whole bunch of people living out there, so what surged and came behind all the people were the shopping centers and the parks. So that kept going on. All the infrastructure to serve all the people that moved out there grew from the 70s to the 90s. And then in recent decades, Plantation has undergone downtown redevelopment and modernization of the infrastructure and the attraction of major employees like Motorola and Magic Leap. You'll see that in the Plantation Walk. That used to be a mall. It was like a Macy's fashion mall, and so many of these malls, they were big in the 70s and 80s. You know, we all know wherever you live, these malls got old and empty and yucky. So they took that one mall, nice, and they made it an outdoor and indoor walkable shopping hub and restaurant and entertainment hub. They've done a nice job with it. So if you get down here and check in one of my other videos, you'll see that. But if you're interested in Plantation and you want to stay there and like really focus on and shop in Plantation, fly into Fort Lauderdale International, take an Uber to the Sheraton at the Plantation Walk, check into the Sheraton. You don't even need a car, and your restaurants are right there in walking distance, a little bit of shopping, super friendly. And then when you're ready to go shop around the houses and you use me as your agent, I'll pick you up at the Sheraton and we will look at as many houses as you want to look at in Plantation. So that's the end of this video. I just wanted to give you the pros and cons of Plantation and Plantation Acres. I didn't really get into Plantation Acres cons, so I can't really think of any. Far away? Not really. Half hour pretty much from everything. I love Plantation Acres. Nice big equestrian community. Love that. Even your infrastructure is not as old as Plantation, so that's the scoop with Plantation Acres. I got nothing bad to say about them. I really don't have anything bad to say about Plantation either, except you guys like pros and cons videos, so I'm just going to give you the pros and cons. So because you like the pros and cons videos, I'm giving you the pros and cons of Plantation. I had to really dig deep to find the cons, so let me recap it for you. I'm going to go positive first, negative next. The pros of living in Plantation and Plantation Acres in some instances is green space and mature foliage. Number 2, good schools and family-oriented and focused communities. 3, central location in Broward County without the Fort Lauderdale price tag. And 4, you have a variety of home styles, so you're not locked into any one home style that you may or may not like. Cons, you're not near the beach. You're close enough though. 2, older infrastructure, so check for your electric lines, the age of them, and your electricity in the house, your breaker boxes, and the cast iron plumbing. 3, limited nightlife. And 4, the name controversy. It's been resolved. Don't let it creep you out that the name is Plantation. Quite honestly, it kind of used to freak me out. I kind of associated it with slavery. I don't even like houses with columns on them, but it has nothing to do with that. It's that Plantation, whatever management company, whatever the name is, they used to own Plantation, so they named it after their company. That's really where the name came from. And since I guess they had all their marketing materials and all their materials with Plantation, and the commission and the citizens voted on it, it's still known as Plantation and Plantation Acres. And I hope that you enjoyed this little pros and cons video about Plantation and Plantation Acres. And if you want more information on either community or any nearby communities, call me, text me, WhatsApp me, email me, hit me up in the comments. If you know anybody looking for beautiful and more affordable than Fort Lauderdale property in South Florida, share this video with them. So again, I thank you for your time, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you, and deuces.